So in the third phase of the transformation model, CIOs focus on initiatives that improve margin.
Correct.
Tell us more about this. Give us some examples of CIOs who were able to do this successfully.
So what I had said earlier when I was going through the 4 phases, so margin is, and I chose the word very carefully because margin is bottom line, and you can achieve that 2 ways. One is improving sales, and the other one is reducing cost. There's 2 ways to do it. So the example that I think would be really interesting is from Randy Spratt. So Randy Spratt thinks out of both sides of his brain, and which basically means that he's strategic, but he's also tactical. And the reason I say that is not only is he's executive vice president for McKesson, but he's both the CIO and the CTO. He wears both hats. So remember earlier I had mentioned technology is so prolific today that being able to understand what all the technologies are and how to apply them is really a full-time job, but he's also a strategist, so he's doing both things. So that's why, and I've written it in the book, that he thinks out of both sides of his brain. But he really says it very, very well. What he says is, Vaishali, and let me read this because it's interesting, 21st century CIOs have a dual responsibility to drive down costs and create new business value. Managing the seeming dichotomy is the domain of top business executives. And CIOs everywhere have to learn how to step it up. So what he recognizes is that improving margin is something CIOs can really achieve. So what did he do? So let me give you an example. So McKesson acquires companies all the time. And when you acquire companies, you have to integrate them into your infrastructure. It takes time. The longer it takes, the less time the acquiring company gets the benefit of the cash flow, because things tend to slow down, right? So what Randy Spratt recognized was that acquisition times, planning for those acquisition times was taking way too long. And that when he started looking into it, and he was involved in some of the acquisition teams, he found that problems were occurring again, and again that were delaying the acquisition. So he looked into it, and there was no process. So he put a business team and an IT team together to come up with a acquisition playbook. And they documented the processes so that the acquisition process could be replicated over and over again. What he was able to do is cut down the acquisition planning process by 75%. And as I said earlier, the more you can compress the time and the quicker you can have an acquired company provide value, because things do slow down until you integrate, cash flow comes into the company quicker. So when you talk about cash flow, that's a really good example.